Couple things to be aware of here on our Tempus daily chart. So the first one is going to be this 9-day EMA. It's kind of sitting right here on this 38.2 fib retrace, but really that's trading at 64.53. That's going to be our next resistance. We're not really going to worry about the big whole numbers in here of 60 or 65, anything. It's going to be that 64.53. We have to see what happens with this 9-day EMA. Kind of ran away from itself, right? So a little reversion back to the mean here as compared to the actual stock price. And we're as these two get closer, it's going to be interesting to see where we actually end up at. But currently, right now, it's going to be at that 64.53. Support wise, what are we looking at? Well, we're currently trading at 56. So below that, it's not going to be that $50 level. It's going to be the 49 in here. That's going to be your 61.8 fib retrace. And that was a nice support for us back here in January, as well as when we had that nice little pop and come back here back in November, and it was a little bit of resistance for us here in October. So that's going to be our first point of support in there. We're not looking at 50s. We're not looking at the 60s, 65s. It's going to be those weird numbers. Speaking of weird numbers, our first resistance that we have to get is going to be this 50% fib retrace. Now, when we play fib retraces, usually a 50% is where you're going to get all that big support and resistance. So this 57.17, that's going to be an area of concern for us in here. We have to figure out, are we going to stay below it and consolidate and then work our way up, or is that going to turn into a nice support for us if we can get a little gap and go and then start working our way towards that 9-day EMA? So we'll have to wait and see on there. RSI finally pulled back. That's what happens when you get 2 weeks of just kind of coming down here. But our RSI is basically a little bit oversold, a little neutral, 44 in here, and your volume's kind of decreasing as well. And your high low in here from last trading session, about 56 to 50, as compared to that big red day, that big red candle off for earnings, where you had a 63, 65 and a priced in a low of 55, 15 in there. So about a almost an $8 high low difference in there for your trading session 2 days ago. Now, IV ranking here is going to be at 48. So you do still have a lot of options premium as compared to itself. Everybody's pricing in right around a $15 expected move by this Friday. If you go out to March, everybody's pricing around a $17 expected move. But the interesting thing is here that not nobody, but the volume was higher for your calls at the 61 strike rather than the 60 strike. So that's interesting to me. That kind of sticks out because they always like to trade the 60s, the 65, basically $5, $10. That's where all your volume is going to happen because that's how everybody, it's nice, easily mathematically, you can kind of add it up in your head, right? Everybody's doing their broken wing butterflies and stuff like that. They want their 5 so they can do their 10 on the other side. Your iron condors, everybody likes them 5, 10, $20 wide, stuff like that. So that's how you get those big whole numbers. But this is interesting. The 61 strike calls, 3,500 contracts traded as compared to 1,300 contracts traded on the 60s. So that's interesting. You also have about a 20-cent call skew in here as well. So we have to keep that in mind as we're kind of looking at this RSI down here. So 20-cent call skew, oversold. Everybody's kind of trading that 61 strike for whatever reason. So kind of keep all that in the back of your mind as you're trying to see if we're going to gap up and stay above this 50.17 or if that's going to be a support for us. Or I'm sorry, if that's going to be a resistance for us in here and we're going to trade in between the 49s and the 57. So all in all, we'll have to kind of wait and see what happens this week. But really, it's all going to be kind of about that 50% fib at that 57.17. All right, guys, if you like this video, make sure to check us out on all of our social media. We also have a Discord service if you're interested, and you can find all of our socials in the description below.